COVID-19 across the U.S., more than any time during the pandemic. The American Academy of Pediatrics reported 93,824 child cases nationally in the week ending August 5th, about 15% of all reported cases that week. Here in Utah, the Department of Health reports a total of 48,946 cases in children 14 and under. Dr. Pavia worries that number could skyrocket if we start school without universal masking.
Masks work best if everyone wears them. They don't work terribly well for the person who is wearing a mask if everyone around them is shedding virus. We do know that school can be safe in person, but it can't be safe if we don't have universal masking. There is no serious risk to wearing a mask, and there are very, very serious risks to allowing COVID to spread unchecked in our schools.
Dr. Pavia had very strong words for the Salt Lake County Council members who voted to overturn Dr. Angela Dunn's recommended mask mandate for the county's K through 6th grade students.
I think they don't understand the risk to children. They may not understand the science behind mask use. I think the important principle here is that we really want to follow the science and leave scientific decisions in the hands of people who have our kids' best interests at heart and who are not subject to the political winds that affect politicians. As doctors and public health officials, we take responsibility for trying to protect the health of kids. And I think if people overturn those recommendations and kids get very sick or kids die, they have to realize that it really is their responsibility now. They should think very long and hard about that.
So you heard some strong words there from the doctor, concerned about not having that mandate in place, but there were plenty of people happy about the council's decision. You take a look at the crowd here gathered for that Thursday vote. It was packed with parents against those who are requiring masks there in schools. Signs throughout, not just the chambers, but even in the overflow area outside, stating things like, "My child, my choice." Then listen to their reaction once the Salt Lake City Council, or the Salt Lake County Council, voted to reject that mask mandate for kids too young to get the vaccine.
Please stand adjourned.
So that cheering was followed by chants of USA, and then later singing the national anthem by crowds gathered outside. Joining us now is someone who celebrated that vote as a victory for parents, Corinne Johnson. She's the Public Relations Director for Utah's Parents United, a group who are opposed to the mask mandate for kids under the age of 12. Corinne, thanks for being with us here today.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Now, I just want to be able to set the stage here for people at home. We just heard from the doctor who thinks that having mandates in place could lead to potentially serious problems for children. So what's your reaction to his assessment?
We're grateful for doctors, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the CDC, for their recommendations on how to keep children safe from COVID-19. We really feel as parents, no one loves a parent or knows a child better than a parent does. We know what's best for our kids. And when we talk about the effects of COVID, they're much far-ranging than just the virus itself. We have emotional and mental and physical impacts that come from masking that parents have been dealing with and seeing in their kids for the last year. And they want the ability to take the risk for themselves and make that choice. Is the risk of COVID-19 and the new Delta variants for their child greater, or is the risk of another year of learning loss? Is that impact greater for their child? For the emotional, mental stresses of anxiety and increased depression that has been shown to come from mask wearing. So we do feel that we have to look at the whole child, and no one can look at their whole child and make a decision better than a parent.
So you're looking at that and weighing the emotional cost versus like the risk of transmission there. What would you say to someone who is saying that they're looking at from the opposite angle, right? Mm-hmm. Where you're saying that you have to put your own child's view there as the main thing that's important. But what about those who would say you're putting their children at risk?
The last thing we want to do is put children at risk, which is why personal choice is important. There are things in place in all schools to keep kids safe and lower transmission rates. For kids under 12, and we're talking children who have the absolute lowest rate of transmission and the lowest viral load and the lowest ability to deal with the virus. They have the least side effects from the virus. There are options like the governor's KN95 mask program This is a wonderful choice for parents. If you really are concerned about those risks and you don't want to risk your child's personal health, they can wear that mask that will give them protection to school. There's also the other things we're doing. We're washing hands. We're staying home when we're sick. Talk about parent choice, Brian. That's the biggest one. We as parents have to take responsibility. If our kids are sick, we keep them home. We don't send sick kids to school. And we should be doing this all the time, but especially right now when there are concerns. We don't know how the Delta variant is going to affect our kids, so we do need to take precautions. We also have great legislation from the state. They see what an outbreak is going to look like in a school, and they've made laws to protect kids, to keep our schools open. All of these things layer together and allow parents to choose, do I mask or do I not mask? Because all the other things are there. This is about a great opportunity to make personal choice and keep all kids safe.
I definitely think that you've kind of covered the gamut there of how it, where that view and parents who feel the same way as you are coming from. And I appreciate you being with us on the show to express that.
Thank you, Brian.
Corinne Johnson here with Utah Parents United. Again, thank you for being with us here this morning. The time is, of course, I believe 7:12 here this morning. Still ahead here on GMU, firefighters working around the clock to contain the PARLEY'S Canyon fire. See how big it's now become and who's still at risk today.
Utah Jazz suffer their first loss in Summer League play. We'll show you what happened against the Clippers when we come back with sports.